Well, I'm just a bartender. I don't like my work. I don't mind the money at all. I've seen lots of sad faces, lots of bad cases, folks with their backs to the wall. I need four walls around me to hold my life, keep me from going astray. The honky-tonk angel hold me tight, keep me from slipping away. I can light up your smokes, I can laugh at your jokes, I can watch you fall down on your knees. I can close down this bar, I can gas up my car, I can pack up and mail in my key. I need four walls around me to hold my life, keep me from going astray. And a honky-tonk angel hold me tight, keep me from slipping away. The smoke fills the air, this honky-tonk bar. I'm thinking about where I'd rather be, but I burned all my bridges, sunk all my ships, stranded at the edge of the sea. But I need four walls around me to hold my life, keep me from going astray. And a honky-tonk angel hold me tight, keep me from slipping away. Great song by George Jones, I just discovered recently. Turns out it's a song written by James Taylor, trying to sing a song in the style of George Jones style songs, which then George Jones sung. And a lot of people criticise James Taylor because he didn't sound a lot like a country. He was trying to do George Jones, but he wasn't George Jonesy enough. And then George Jones did a version, and people criticised George Jones for being too George Jonesy. They said because he would stretch out his syllables like slipping away, slipping. He does all these little flourishes, which is a great thing. Very difficult. It makes it impossible for me to cover any George Jones song because I hear the way he sings it and I can't do it. And if I don't do those flourishes, it doesn't feel like I'm singing one of his songs. But yeah, it's funny that people thought that George Jones's George Jones was worse than James Taylor's George Jones, if that makes sense. That George Jones wasn't good enough at being himself. He was even worse at being himself than James Taylor was. Go figure. Anyway.